So today we're working on this classic Mercury 75 outboard that's having a bit of trouble. It's running rough at idle, misfiring, and even cutting out at times. We're going to look at the ignition system, which I suspect is the root of the problem, and we'll walk through the troubleshooting process step by step and show what needs to be checked, what to replace, and how to get this engine running smooth again. Before we start, we're going to need some parts. So I have prepared, we need some tools, some parts. So what we have here is some spare parts for the ignition system. I think we need some cables, a flywheel puller, and then we have the service manual for the Mercury here, especially for the ignition system. So I think we're going to use that, and we also have the parts manuals in this handbook. So I think we're pretty good equipped to start our troubleshooting. So now we have pulled the flywheel and we can see the ignition system. So now we're going to inspect that. So what we can see here already is you can see that the cable has crumbled. So that cable we need to replace. And we can see further there is something with this ignition coil. So we're going to measure the resistance of it and see whether it's okay, because this is the high-speed coil over here and this is the low-speed coil. Another thing we can see is that this cable also is not in a good shape. So we're going to replace that as well. Okay, so I think we have found a few things why this one is not running smooth. Let's go deeper to that. So we've prepared the cables. So let's have a look at the cables. As you can see, the insulation has crumbled all about this cable. So we created a new cable, and this is a ground cable. So we're going to install this cable now and put it through here. And put it on the ground connection over here. And it will be connected to the capacitor over here. Good. So this cable insulation is also crumbled. So this goes over here to the coil, and the cable goes all the way around here. So we're going to remove the CDI ignition and take off the cable. So this cable goes over to the breaker. And what we can see here is the insulators. And often these insulators are cracked. Probably not on the upper side, but maybe on the lower side, on the downside. So we're going to check that also. So let's have a look. So we can see all this crumbling from the cables. So we're going to clean all this up. And we'll also have it in here so that we need to clean up, and then we need to replace this coil. So we're going to have a look at that. So we also need to remove the breakers. So I will take out the points or the breakers as well. And they also need the new timing. We'll get back to that. Okay, so now we're gonna lift out the insulator. We're gonna use a tool for that. So we're gonna lift it slightly, and that went smooth. And actually the insulator does not have any cracks, which is good. So we can reuse that. Okay, so now we're ready to put in the new cable. So this is the cable where the insulation crumbled, and now we created a new cable. So we're going to set that cable in and put it in here. So that one is in now. So, and as you can see, we did some cleaning, so we're ready to put the breakers in again. And what we also need to look at is all these cables are all broken. So we need to replace these ones. And I also had a look at the coil, and the coil is doesn't have the right resistance, so it has to be replaced. So we're gonna look at that next time. So now we're gonna do the cables and find a new coil for it. Okay, so let's have a look at the cables. We just took the cables out, and what we can see is the cables are really, the insulations are totally broken, and it's not so funny that the engine had a rough idle. So we're going to replace that. So now we have reinstalled the points, and we have to adjust the points, and we're going to have a look how to do that. So first of all, we need to tighten the screw at the insulator. So that's mounted. And we need a feeler gauge. So there is on the cam a high point, and we're going to find that high point. And we can see now we've found the high point. And what we have done is we put the feeler gauge in, and then I have tightened the screws here so that the points are set correctly. And according to the service manual, it should be set at 0.20, and that's exactly what we have done. So what we can see now is when we're cranking, then we can see it's opening and it's closing. So we're going to measure the resistance to see that the breaker actually works. So now it's closed. So that has a very low resistance, which looks good. So let's see that. So that's, yeah, that's okay. And now we're going to open the point and we're going to measure again, and we can see there's no connection. And that's exactly what we need. So now we're going to install the other point over here. So for that, we have checked the cable, and the original cable actually looks quite okay. So it doesn't have any cracks. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the point, put it on, and tighten the screw. That's a little tricky, but it's way easier to do it here instead of mounting it in the motor first and then trying to tighten it. So as you can see, so now so that one is tight. So we're going to set the point over here, and we're going to set the insulator here. So that one sits now, and now we're going to set the screws. So we're starting with this one. And at this moment, it still has to be quite loose. And we're setting the other screw. So we take our feeler gauge, and now we need to find the high point on the cam. So now we have the high point here, and we want to check where to set the point. It needs to sit snug. And I think we're almost there, so that one looks good. So we tighten the screw a little bit more. And adjusting that can be, so we still have 0.20 snug. So I'm just tightening it slightly, but still fix. So we have 0.20, and now we can see it's closing and it's opening. And we can see the other side is doing the same over here. Closing, opening, opening, closing. So that actually looks quite good. So now we're going to install the new coil, because the old one that had to be replaced. So for that, we have found on eBay another brand new coil. So we're going to take this one and we're going to mount it. So now we have checked all cables. We created new cables, we've adjusted the points, replaced the coil. So now we're ready to assemble everything again. Put the CDI plate on, and we can have a look at the cables. So The black wire was replaced. That went from one of the breakers or the points, and it goes over here, and you need to bring it down here, and then it goes to the coil here. Then we have replaced this coil, so that's placed again. Now we need to tighten the screws. That's what we're going to do now. So we'll put back the flywheel on. We tighten all screws. The cables are mounted correctly, tightened. So now and then here I put the spark plug on with a perma gap spark plug. So let's see if it creates some sparks now. I think that looks good. So now we have fixed the ignition of this classic Mercury 75, and we're going to try it out now. Okay, so let's see if it's running. But it's not giving water, so we need to look at the impeller.